Number 10 on my list is Solve It Pack 1. It's not going to be everyone's thing, but as a developer, it reminds me of that old school logo programming that you use to learn procedural thinking and those sort of concepts. It's actually not the typical type of puzzle game I enjoy. You have to step back and pause and really think several moves ahead. And for that reason, it's probably not going to be appealing to the casual puzzle gamer. But it does what it does really well. Like the core concept is solid, the puzzles are challenging, and they actually managed to throw in new mechanics and concepts along the way, so it never really gets boring. Laser Logic comes in at number 9 on my list. It's a fairly simple puzzle game, but I find it really engaging because tinkering is encouraged. You can take every move back, and you're encouraged just to get in there and try new things, manipulate the puzzle until you get it right. So it's one of the few puzzle games that doesn't leave me, that engages me and yet doesn't leave me feeling stressed out after I finish playing it. Doom and Destiny is my token JRPG for my list. It's about a group of 4 D&D players, Doom and Destiny, not that other pen and paper game, and their adventure as they are summoned to a fantasy world to be its legendary heroes. And it's got a lot of throwbacks to, old school gaming culture, both pen and paper and video games. There are several JRPG style games on the service, and this one just barely edged it out. Edge out the other ones because it nails the 16-bit style. There's some rough edges in the interface and the writing, but it nails the 16-bit style. And if you're an old school gamer, you remember Final Fantasy back when it was on the Nintendo and Dragon Warrior, you'll really enjoy this one. Breakout games aren't uncommon on Xbox Live Indie games, but it's the rare ones that actually get the formula right, and Wizorb is one of those. It nails the feel of the original game, and then it goes in and adds an adventure around that. It narrowly edged out Ion Ball. I think Ion Ball is a little more fast-paced, but it gets my vote because it nails the retro look. It is reminiscent of Zelda, it's reminiscent of original Final Fantasy, but it doesn't rip the style directly off. It manages to be its own thing, and it's a little bit slow, but the spell system and the item system really makes for good pacing. My number 6 pick is Avatar Legends. There's a lot of RPG games on the service. This one does really well because as soon as I picked it up, I could tell the throwbacks to games like Zelda and World of Warcraft and Oblivion in things like the quest system and the mapping system and the day-night cycles. It manages to do the side quest thing really well, where if you're exploring, you can pick up a couple different quests and there's always something to do. Laser Cat makes number 5 on my list. I really like the Metroidvania style level design, even though it's more of a platformer than a shooter. I also like the clean retro art style. It's the type of game that is challenging without being painfully difficult. You're supposed to collect 30 keys, and the nice thing is they're spaced out just enough that pacing leaves you with a sense of accomplishment as you pick up each key. So even if you don't, get through the whole game, I certainly did when I played it, you'll still feel like you got somewhere. It'll still feel like a challenge. Dead Pixels makes number 4 on my list. I really like the combination of 8-bit, old school 8-bit graphics and the grainy old movie effect. And it's an action game, but it's not the action that really sucked me into this. It's the fact that you can go in homes and pick up items and amass all these items that you can then sell to traders to upgrade or to buy new weapons. It appeals to that OCD RPG gamer that Elder Scrolls games appeals to for me. It's a fun game. It's got co-op, and what I really like is just spotting all the references to zombie movies and zombie video games and books, because they're just all over. Dark Delve makes number 3 on my list. It's a 3D perspective RPG in the style of Bard's Tale or Eye of the Beholder, mixed with a JRPG style combat system. The combat system is engaging because it forces me to play riskier than I would have. It's got performance-based combat rewards and things like that, and a combo break system. That forces me to get through the combat so I can do the exploration, which is what I really like. The class system is clean. They're your typical fighter, mage, rogue classes. So character selection is simple, but each class has 3 tech trees, so you've got a lot of different options once you get into the game. Battle High San Bruno took silver medal on my list. I played a lot of Street Fighter 2 when I was younger, and so that just appeals to me. I'm right in the target demographic for this. It's very friendly to the intermediate to advanced player. The AI isn't so difficult. It's not going to present a challenge for a hardcore fighting game player, but for me, it was enough to feel challenged without being completely frustrated. It didn't exactly mimic any fighting game I'd seen before, but all the the charge moves and the quarter circle moves were there, so there's enough familiarity that I could really get into it. The combat is kind of short to medium range, so I think even casual fighting game players will have fun with this, even if they can't figure out all the special moves. My personal Xbox Live Indie Game of the Year was Sequence. It's a combination of an RPG and a rhythm game. And I don't know if that combination has mass appeal, but it definitely hits 2 of my favorite genres. And then you add to that the fact that it has top-notch art, voice acting, and game design, and it's just a really high-quality game. One of the things I love about it is you can play with a controller, you can play with a dance pad, or you can play with a guitar, and none of these modes feel bolted onto the side of it. They're all very well developed, well designed, which is just really impressive. It's got kind of the typical JRPG storyline. It's a mystery, so it drew me into it. It's a little bit heavy on tropes, but it's just fun to play through. I actually played through this, got all the Easter eggs, and was really pleased with it. And actually, this is one of the games that made it onto Steam, if that tells you something. So it's one of the big success stories out of XBLIG.